Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, iRacing fans from around the world, welcome to Monday Night Mania, Daytona International Speedway. That's right, you heard it correctly, ladies and gentlemen. All week this week we are running this half-mile wicked super speedway. But, you know, we are still keeping it hopeful out here. Had some good practice sessions. Boys are ready to rumble out here, so let's see if we can get through 100 laps at Daytona. We're going to take a quick look at that qualifying order sitting out there on that front line. We have got Edward Bray and Lee Staples, members of Black Talon Racing, a sub-team of KMA Racing. Edward with a 49.146. Lee Staples with a 49.164. Very close times. James O.O. Brown sitting back in third position. Kevin Winter out of Canada sitting in fourth. Gary Whitmer Jr. in fifth and Chris Hogue in sixth place. John Pansula, seventh, side by side with Jack Watts. Donald Stewart and Ben Gear sitting in ninth and 10th. 11th position belonging to John Woodruff. Jake Ritchie in 12th position. 13th belonging to Anthony Poston and Danny Rudy taking up 14th. Everett Lane, position 15, and Sean Dewar, 16th tonight in the number 62. Ivan Garcia, in the number 72 in 17th position. Andrew Lutz, not able to run tonight for mechanical difficulties. Position 20th belonging to John Henderson. Gary Whitmer Sr. sitting in 21st. Kevin Scott Nelson in 22nd. Joel Guy 23rd. Devin Armstrong. Garrett Potts. Roderick Norman near the rear of the field. Well, I tell you what, that is a mighty good looking field out here tonight. Looking at about 24 drivers. Roderick Norman not able to run tonight, out due to mechanical difficulties as well. Edward Bray out there in that front line, getting ready to kick us off for 100 laps at Daytona in Daytona Week. Tonight's race is sponsored by GW Graphics. Want to give a big shout out there to my good friend Gary Whitmer, one of our two videographers here at KMA Racing. So a big shout out there to GW Graphics. Gary Whitmer out here tonight, racing right alongside his father. We've got Gary Whitmer Jr. and Gary Whitmer Sr. Pretty cool stuff right there when you're out here racing with your dad. Pace car is in, and away we go, ladies and gentlemen, kicking off 100 laps at Daytona. Edward Bray on that inside lane. Lee Staples in the number 64 on that outside lane. James Brown on the inside giving a big push to the number 66, but appears that Lee Staples down in front of his teammate Edward Bray quite early, thinking he might have had a little help there from Edward Bray wanting to get lined up early on. As they are coming down that backstretch, picking up speeds. Going to be speeds up to about 200 miles an hour, 198, 199, 200, right there in that vicinity. We'll be seeing three wide racing long before tonight's race is over. Kind of hard to resist that urge to go three wide out here on these super speedways. Ready to complete our first lap of green flag racing, and lordy, lordy, one lap in the books at Daytona, caution free. Lee Staples, Edward Bray out here large and in charge. Drivers are sitting on about a 32 lap fuel load. Hopefully we will see some green flag racing out here tonight. Big shout out there to Becky Whitmer coming out here to watch her husband and her son make a run out here at Daytona. Gary Whitmer Jr. right now in the Purple Pride in the number 5. Fourth car on that inside lane, keeping a huge distance off of James Brown. Now something really cool here. We have got that 00 of James Brown and that 01 of John Pansula in front of the number 5 and in the rear of the number 5. Want to give a big shout out to both of these drivers. Their team that they represent out is Cora Championship Online Racing. Check them out on Sundays in their Sunday Money League. Sunday Money Series. Looking at the rear end of James Brown in the 00 Camaro. John Pansula in the 01 and Gary Whitmer, the monkey in the middle of Cora in the number 5. That is our sponsor for the night, GW Graphics. Check them out on YouTube and on Facebook. Now, one thing about Gary you'll notice, folks, he is in the Purple Pride number 5 Pad Camaro. Check us out on Sunday, this coming Sunday. You heard it right, for our Race 4 Pad. You can find more information out about PAD at padd.org, but that is People Against Distracted Driving here at KMA. We do everything we can to educate and make aware of the dangers of distracted driving, and on the first Sunday of the month, every month we hold a Race 4 Pad. This month we are going 125 laps at Auto Club in the Camping World Series trucks. That race will kick off Sunday, December 3rd at 8 p.m. Central Time. Gary Whitmer tightening up onto the 00 James Brown. But on that outside, whoa, we've got trouble brewing. Trouble is a brewing. Hang on to her, boys. Well, that'll break that pack up, I tell you what. See if we can back that up a little bit. This is what just happened. That pack definitely putting on the brakes to avoid that caution. But we are still live and green flag racing. That'll change things up, ladies and gentlemen. That'll put Kevin Winter, Chris Hogue, Jack Watts, Ben Gear, John Pansula out there on that front line. That will drop Edward Bray and James Brown down to 6th position. Not quite sure exactly what happened out there, folks, but somebody got into somebody, and about 13 drivers hitting those brakes to do everything they can to avoid that caution. So good driving, good job to those drivers. Taking a look at our lead pack, Kevin Winter in the number 22, Jack Watts on his rear on that inside lane in the number 77, Chris Hogue on the outside, James Brown on the inside, side by side with the number 16 of Ben Gear. Outside lane being led by Chris Hogue, starting to get a run on that inside, but just not quite enough to get her up there. Edward Bray started out tonight's race with his teammate Lee Staples. Lee Staples has dropped back to 12th position. Edward Bray in 6th. And they have caught this front pack. These boys have come prepared and they are ready to race. One more look at Gary Whitmer, our sponsor for the night. GW Graphics. Front pack has gotten caught up to one another. Sean Dewar in the number 62, Old School, get a little run on Donald Stewart. Donald Stewart, the last driver in this front pack, but look at that damage on the rear end of the number 66 of Edward Bray. Edward Bray going to try to latch on to the number 62 of Sean Dewar. But I tell you what, folks, that is a pretty substantial amount onto that rear end of Edward Bray. Edward Bray dropping down to that inside lane in the Black Talon Racing number 66. And we've got more traffic in the rear end of Edward Bray. Lee Staples, John Woodruff, Anthony Poston in the number 20 have come back to join that party, along with the 7 of Danny Rudy and the number 52 of Gary Whitmer. Gary Whitmer rocking out a little bit of hysteria in the Def Leppard number 52. Loving it, looking sharp out there. Gary Whitmer Sr., a huge fan of hysteria. Showing his support for KMATV and GW Graphics. Anthony Poston in the number 20 Wrangler on that outside lane. Number 7 up, Danny Rudy on the rear end of this pack. Lap 10 of 100, ladies and gentlemen, off to a really good start. Had a little bit of a fender bender up there early on, but all drivers doing a great job maintaining their composure. And as much as it split this pack apart, this pack is right back hard and heavy with 15 drivers going at it. Taking a look at 16th position, 17th, 18th, and 19th. We've got John Henderson, Joel Guy, Garrett Pops, and Kevin Scott Nelson. 5.3 seconds off of that lead pack. It's about a 4 on 15 though. Not sure if these 4 drivers will be able to catch up to that main pack. They're looking at 5.2. Does appear they are gaining a little bit of ground. Number 111 of John Henderson and the number 12 of Joel Guy. Garrett Potts in the number 40, showing his support for the black and blue. Good job there to the number 40 of Garrett Potts. Heard tell that Garrett's got mom and dad out there, I do believe, on the KMA TV chat. Taking a look at Garrett. So Garrett hoping to make some family members very proud out here. Going to need a little bit of help. He's got that help with the number 24 of Kevin Scott Nelson. Nice looking paint job by the number 40 of Garrett Potts. More trouble out here on this field. Saw Joel Guy just about lose it right there. Kevin Scott Nelson still alive. John Henderson in the 111. These 4 drivers have got to get hooked back up ASAP. They have fallen to 7.9 seconds back. Devin Armstrong and Ivan Garcia, 13.2 seconds back. These 2 drivers definitely hoping for a caution to come out. Devin Armstrong in the number 33, credit 1. Ivan Garcia showing his support for America. And I tell you what, Ivan Garcia is showing some pretty serious scraping up on that nice looking paint. Well, that's what it's supposed to look like there on the passenger side. But over here on the right side, Ivan Garcia showing a little bit of scraping out here at Daytona. Jake Ritchie in the number 51. Same situation there with the scrape of the paint. Jake Ritchie, 44 seconds back. All right, there is your field, ladies and gentlemen. Back up with our race leaders. Jack Watts leading 4 laps of 100 out here. We are on lap 15 of 185 to go. 3 lead changes. As I mentioned, we are running Daytona all week. Tomorrow night in the trucks, Camping World Series, Toyota Tundra, Chevy Silverado. Friday, we will be out here in the big boy toys, the Cup cars. Cup cars, a lot of fun, but a little bit dangerous. Number 6 of Chris Hogue getting a move on that outside lane. Kevin Winter in the number 22 taking the lead from Jack Watts. Chris Hogue dropping to 3rd place with the boys from Cora, John Pansula and James Brown. Definitely will be seeing these 2 drivers trying to stay together and hook up. This is a super speedway. You got to have a partner. Gary Whitmer making a good run, sitting in 8th position side by side with Sean Dewar. Currently in 8th position for Gary Whitmer. Started off tonight's race in 5th. Sean Dewar from 16th to 17th. Donald Stewart sitting in 10th position. Side by side with the number 7 of Danny Rudy. Number 117, John Woodruff, and the number 64 of Lee Staples. Staying in the rear of this huge front pack. We had 13 drivers. I guess that's not too terribly huge. Drivers running speeds at 197 miles per hour. Gary Whitmer Jr. with a fast lap of a 45.180. Last lap of a 45.454. Now what that means, folks, tires. Tires are going to wear off. Not as much as they are over there at Phoenix or Texas. Or God forbid we say Martinsville. But tires will be a factor. Coming up on lap traffic. Round the lap traffic of the 111 of John Henderson, falling 1 lap down. Caution will fly. Taking a look at possibly James Brown. Well, there it is right there. Sean Dewar and the number 16, the 62 and the 16, getting involved into a little tussle here on lap 21. And you know what's odd about this, folks? We're going to take a look at this from a couple of camera angles, because I want you to see how tight this is. Right along with replay, and boom, there he goes. Round and round, and round goes the number 16 Skull Camaro. Unfortunate break there for Ben Gear. Both of the Cora drivers getting involved in it as well. All is not lost. Drivers are given one backup vehicle. Pretty sure James Brown will be taking one, the number 7 of Danny Rudy. John Pansula trying to limp his way back to pit row. Garrett Potts appearing to have made his way through it. Sean Dewar, he'll be heading off into pit row for repairs as well. Kevin Winter, our race leader, making his way down pit row. Underneath our first caution on lap 21 of 100, lap 22 of 100. It's really not a bad run here at Daytona. Gary Whitmer Jr. in pit row. Number 6 of Chris Hogue heading out. Edward Bray heading in. Jack Watts near the front of that field. We'll wait for Gary to get back up on track. Then we're going to get a race interview in with Gary Whitmer. Gary Whitmer slowing back down to pace speed as he does catch up with the pace car and Chris Hogue. How about it, Gary? Have you got a copy?
I got you, Scott.
Well, first off, thank you, sir, for the sponsorship here on Monday night with Monday Night Mania by GW Graphics. How's your race going tonight?
It's car's twitchy tonight. Not sure what's going on, but I'm gonna try to stay up front and see what happens. But it's real twitchy.
Now, in practice, we had some good practice runs, but what we just saw there, and we looked at that replay several times, just barely nudged you. I mean, it was like touching an eggshell and cracking wide open.
Yeah, the cars seem a lot touchier. Got to stay off that bumper. If not, somebody's going to the wall or to the infield.
All right, copy that. How's it feel out here racing with your dad? Do you have any plans of you and Gary Sr. trying to get hooked up tonight?
Yeah, I'm hoping he can get closer to me, or I might just drop back later and pick him up, bring him up front.
All right, copy that. And tell me real quick about the color purple and what it means to you.
The color purple, normally we run purple rims, but it's too much purple on this car to run purple rims with a purple car. So the purple stands for PAD, People Against Distracted Driving, and the Nikki Kaleni Foundation.
All righty, and I know you're a big fan of PAD, as I am. We're going to be doing a PAD race on Sunday, December 3rd, and the trucks. I assume you'll be there dressed up for a PAD?
Yep. I'm hoping that John Hendrick's working on a new scheme. It's a Christmas PAD scheme. Hope to bring that out of the shop on Sunday.
All righty, awesome. All right, good job so far. You're in second place, up from 5th. Clean and looking good in purple. Thank you for your time.
Yep, thanks, Scott.
Join us on Sunday for our monthly Race for PAD. Chris Hogue out there on that front line in the number 6. Looking like he's having a very good night so far tonight. How about it, Chris? Have you got a copy?
Yes, sir, Scott. Go ahead.
All right, look at you, Big U, up there on that front line. How you feeling about that?
Yeah, scared at the moment.
All right, well, I was talking to Gary, and he's talking about the cars being a little bit twitchy. Can you talk to us about how your car is handling?
Yeah, the same sentiment here. The car's real twitchy tonight. I don't know if it's a server issue or what it is. It's just not a good feeling, not being able to hold it straight.
All righty, possibly some iRacing related issues going on right there. All right, I'm going to let you go. We're getting ready to go back to green flag racing. Any final thoughts or shouts?
Just big shout out to you up there in the booth for a great job that you're doing, and KMA Racing, and all the guys here are doing a great job so far tonight. We're hoping to go green flag the rest of the way.
All right, good luck to you, Chris Hogue.
Thank you, Scott.
Chris Hogue out there on that front line, side by side with Gary Whitmer, getting ready to go back to green flag racing. But you heard him, fans. Something is wrong in the air tonight. Let me get Phil Collins out here. Something in the air of the night. Driver's really not fond of the way the car is handling in the draft. You barely touch it, and cars are going to spin. 2 near misses that avoided the caution, but the third incident level, drivers were not able to avoid that one there. Drivers are bunched back up again. Still looking at 21 drivers out on this field. Lap 24 of 100, 76 laps to go. 6 lead changes, 1 caution, totaling out 3 laps. Away goes Chris Hogue. Smoking that start. In his rearview mirror is Gary Whitmer Jr. and Jack Watts side by side. Chris Hogue definitely trying to get away, but Jack Watts in the draft of the number 6. Gary Whitmer onto the rear end of the number 77. Will they go around? Jack Watts going to give Chris Hogue a mighty good bump. Up goes Gary Whitmer, 117, getting the signal. 3 wide. There goes 117. That'll bring out a caution, ladies and gentlemen. Taking a look at 00 and 78. 78 going up and clipping onto the 117. Look at it here. One more time as the 78 up, and clip, clip, clip. There goes the 117 going for a ride here, sitting on lap 26. A little bit scary run right there. I think Donald Stewart might have been wanting to go up there to go 3 wide. Not sure if the 117 drifted up or not. I didn't see him drift up. Maybe a little bit, but nonetheless. Whew, wow. That was ugly, ladies and gentlemen. That might be the big one. Take a look at it from our blip mode. Round and round and round they go. Tough break for several drivers. Back-to-back cautions here at Daytona. Chris Hogue alive. Jack Watts, Gary Whitmer. Gary Whitmer Sr. has made his way up to 4th position. Do believe Gary Whitmer is clean, and Gary Whitmer opting to stay out. Gonna get a chat in with Gary Whitmer. How about it, Gary Whitmer? Have you got a copy?
Hey, Scott, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Pretty good right now.
Now, this is a little funny here because I tell you, I was talking to Gary Whitmer Jr., and he's like, well, I might drop back for Dad, or maybe Dad can get up here with me. Now, you stayed out. He went in. That's going to put the 6 degrees of separation on you again. What do you think?
Oh, he'll catch me. He's good at it.
Now, I'm taking a good look at this Def Leppard Hysteria Chevy Camaro. Tell me about that paint job. It's pretty slick.
Yeah, John Hendricks did for me. I'm a big Def Leppard and AC/DC fan, so I thought it'd be good to have a little amusement on the racetrack.
And Hysteria, definitely the ride to bring out here to Talladega. The only other one that I would suggest would be Pyromania, because I tell you what, we saw some upside down cars right there.
Yeah, it's been a little bit etchy out here tonight.
Now, are you having any difficulty with your ride as the other drivers are?
I haven't seen a little bit. The car's a little jumpy. Staying off the bumpers. They say it's catching that, so I'm just being very careful.
All right, now we've got a very long week out here at Daytona, running it Tuesday, Thursday in our off broadcasting night, and again on Friday. So what are your thoughts on this Daytona week?
Oh, I love Daytona and Talladega, the two of my favorite tracks.
All righty. Good talking to you, Gary. Good luck in tonight's race, and I'd like to see you and your son get it hooked up and bring it home 1 and 2.
Well, we'll just see what happens.
All right. Gary Whitmer Sr. in the number 52, sitting in second position, showing his love for Def Leppard. Now his son, Gary Whitmer Jr., sitting back in fifth position. We can see Gary Whitmer back there in the sharp purple. So they'll be lined up very close together on this restart. Danny Rudy sitting in seventh place. Big shout out there to Dan's Top Notch Heating and Cooling. Number 40, Garrett Potts, supporting Back the Blue. And there is Gary in that number 5. Edward Bray sitting in sixth position, with Kevin Scott Nelson in the number 224 back in seventh. Kevin Scott Nelson having a teammate out on that KMA TV chat, Dave Acacia. Rooting on Kevin Scott Nelson. Started 22nd up to 7th position. Tony the Tiger. Well, and he's great. Big shout out there to the 224 of Kevin Scott Nelson and Tony the Tiger running shotgun. Sean Dewar sitting back in 8th. Jake Ritchie falling to 9th position. Jack Watts back in 7th. Jack Watts with Southeast Motorsports, having a win here recently with KMA last week. Ben Gear in the number 16 still alive. Devin Armstrong in the number 33, advancing his way up. And the last driver on this lead lap is Lee Staples in the number 64 in 15th, showing a fairly good amount of front end damage. Getting ready to go back to green flag racing here at Daytona. Chris Hogue, large and in charge, side by side with the number 52 of Dave Acacia. Second caution of the night. 7 laps, 6 lead changes. Chris Hogue leading 7 laps. Jack Watts leading 5 and Lee Staples leading 4. Really is overall a great looking field out here tonight, but all of the drivers complaining about the cars being twitchy. There was even discussion about doing what we call a no-push race. Now what that is, ladies and gentlemen, a no-push race, simple as that. You're not allowed to push. Well, the admins decided. I personally do not like a no-push race. That's not racing. Racing is racing and racing is pushing. At least in my humble opinion. So they are pushing out here, but the pushing is a problem. And away we go with the number 6. Second good restart done by Chris Hogue. Number 7, Danny Rudy on his rear end. .52 and 40 up on that outside lane. 40 seeming to be wiggling a little bit. Edward Bray still alive. Number 7 doing a little bit of a wiggling. Garrett Potts to the front on the outside lane. Garrett Potts making a run. He's got help out there with the number 66. Gary Whitmer out there in front of Chris Hogue. Well, Gary Whitmer, rock till you drop. I tell you what, and right now Gary Whitmer is rocking lap 31 in the Def Leppard Hysteria. Chris Hogue doing a very good job. Not getting quite too close onto the rear end of the number 52. That's what's causing the cautions. Driver's getting a little bit too tight onto that bumper. Gonna go in-car camera with Ben Gear. Put you in the driver's seat. Ben Gear onto the rear end of Jack Watts in the number 77. Jack Watts doing a great job. Ben Gear started 10th, currently is in 10th position. Well, I guess that means he's batting about a 500 out here at Daytona. Kevin Scott Nelson down there on that 224 trying to be great. Keeping a very safe distance. Drivers make it through tonight's race. Tomorrow they return to Daytona in the Chevy Silverados and the Toyota Tundras. Back on Thursday with the 2011 edition Chevy. Always a fun car to drive. And then back on Friday, broadcasted in the Cup cars. 206 miles per hour possibility. Looking at about an 11-car breakaway. Ooh, number 51 doing a little bit of blinking right there. Slower traffic pulling down off of that track. Thank you, driver. Ten-car breakaway. Gary Whitmer Jr. still in it. Danny Rudy, Sean Dewar. Gary Whitmer Sr. leading his 5th lap of the night. Chris Hogue in a very comfortable position right now, pushing his teammate Gary Whitmer Sr. Whoa, caution is out. Caution, well, that'll do it every time. Taking a look at that from our chopper view. Taking a look at the number 6 of Chris Hogue. Whoa, and there goes Gary Whitmer Jr. Now, see, that is exactly what the drivers are complaining about. Don't really see where Chris Hogue did anything wrong. Wow, that is a pretty intense jump right there. We're going to take you in-car with Chris Hogue. Get an in-car perspective. Riding along in my automobile. Wicked, wicked roll. Just totally intense. And I really do not see where either driver did any wrong. Gary Whitmer just taking a complete left turn. Really didn't see any contact. That was tough. But I tell you what, what's some camera action right there on the number 6. Going for a ride. That may put the number 6 out of commission. Edward Bray making his way into pit row along Gary Whitmer catching up to that pace car. Thought for sure that Gary Whitmer would have a substantial amount of damage. Does not. Lee Staples opting to stay out with that damaged front end. Edward Bray making his way out of pit row side by side with Sean Dewar. Jack Watts making his way out of pit row. Number 77, representing Southeast Motorsports. How about it, Jack Watts? Have you got a copy?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Are you alive, sir?
Oh, yeah. Thanks to Ben.
All right, you're in good shape.
Yeah. He did a great job on holding the brakes. Didn't get me or him, so we're both out good.
All right, well, I tell you what, sir, that one there happened up front. Absolutely no explanation about what happening. Just a little bit of a hair of a bump and a driver going to the left. Did you hear anything out there about what caused that caution?
I think the 6 said he got the 52 a little bit. It just got him a little bit wrong because these things are so light in the turns here.
Well, explain to our fans exactly what's happening there. I mean, put them in the driver's seat if you would, please.
Well, if you go to Talladega, when you bump, you can bump square, you can bump kind of in the turns, and the cars meet up or the trucks meet up good. Here, for some reason, they're so light or the nose is down so far when you touch them just wrong, you'll wreck them.
All righty. Now I'm taking a good look around your car. Southeast Motorsports dominating the track. You had a win here recently, did you not?
I did.
And where was that at?
I don't remember. It was last week.
I don't remember either. that's a funny thing. But I tell you what, you did a great job there at whatever track that was. Tell us a little bit about Southeast.
Just a small group of guys, a little team, just hanging out, having fun, and pushing each other to the limits to try to always win.
Now, we noticed that you are also a supporter of Pad, and I know that you're a biker as well. And, well, you know, this is Christmas season. How's all that rolling together?
Pretty much just stay off the phones. It can wait. I mean, if you're on the phones, you're not seeing what's around you. You kill yourself, hurt somebody else. So please, just wait till you stop.
All righty, good information there from Jack Watts in Southeast Motorsports, dominating the track. Thank you, Jack.
Thank you, sir.
Jack dominating the track. Kind of rhymes. I really wish I could remember what race that was. I'm going to have to look that up. But indeed, a win out here last week for the number 77 of Jack Watts. Taking a look at our current running order, Gary Whitmer out there on that front line leading 7 laps. Lee Staples sitting in second position. Edward Bray in third. Sean Dewar sitting in 4th position. Ben Gear, Donald Stewart, and Danny Rudy 5th, 6th, and 7th. Gary Whitmer Jr. sitting in 8th, and Jack Watts to 9th. Ivan Garcia 10th. Garrett Potts, Chris Hogue 12th and 13th. John Henderson, Kevin Scott Nelson still alive. 2 laps down for Kevin Scott. John Pensula 3 down. Joel Guy 3 down. Jake Ritchie, I do believe, is out of the track for the night, as well as Kevin Winter. Drivers lined up, getting ready to go back to green flag racing. 3 cautions by lap 39. It's a little bit of a scary start out here at Daytona. Going to jump back here onto the rear end of the number 77. And ride around with Jack Watts for a couple laps. Let the fans get a view and a feel of what it's like out here at Daytona. Homestead. That's where Jack won at last week, bringing a win home at Homestead. Had to go through my paperwork. Homestead. It's also where we will be holding our monthly Race 4 pad this coming Sunday on December 3rd in the Camping World Series. Off to another great restart. Hopefully the drivers will be able to keep a green flag for a while. Would really love to see some green flag pit stops. Now, something else dangerous about Daytona is what Jack Watts is doing right here. He is down onto that yellow a little tighter than what I think he should be. Jack Watts heading back up high. Devin Armstrong. Drivers backing way off. That could have been another one. Watch these drivers down on that yellow line. Devin Armstrong opting to stay a little bit off of it now. Ben Gear up in that outer lane. '52 of Gary Whitmer. Lee Staples in front of Gary Whitmer. Lee drifting a little bit closer than what I'd like down on that yellow line. It seems to be completely in charge. Sean Dewar onto the rear end of the number 72 of Ivan Garcia with the 16 and the 77. Up on that outside lane, Donald Stewart leading that. Donald Stewart was leading that inside lane as Gary Whitmer Jr. takes the lead. Gary Whitmer Jr. going for his second lap lead. Jack Watts on the outside of Gary Whitmer Jr. Gary Whitmer Jr. leading his second lap of the night. Good job to Gary Whitmer Jr. I know Mom Whitmer's pretty happy out there. Gary Whitmer Sr. in 10th position. Still in this pack. Riding back there with Lee Staples and Edward Bray. Pretty sure Donald Stewart will be very, very content to push Gary Whitmer for the remainder of tonight's race, if at all possible. Jack Watts on the outside. Very tight side drafting there with Jack Watts and the number 78. Ducks Unlimited in the number 78. Now watch how close he's going to get up here. And that's about as close as what you want to get. Number 16 on the outside making contact with the number 77. We had talked earlier about the no push. Now right here, this is no push racing. The law was not laid down to these drivers. They can push all the way they want. I don't care. They don't care. Well, they obviously do care because they have gone into a non-push race. Donald Stewart bumping Gary Whitmer, but backing off of it. And that's going to give Ben Gear and Jack Watts will come down in front of Gary Whitmer, taking that lead away from Gary Whitmer. Opening up that outside lane by Ben Gear and Sean Dewar, the number 62, Old School Motorsports. Gary Whitmer keeping his distance away from that number, keeping that number 5 away from that yellow line. Yellow line at Daytona, not your friend, ladies and gentlemen. It is a little bit different than Talladega. A little bit more steeper banking. Yellow line, it'll make you or break you. Donald Stewart keeping a big gap off of the number 5. Knowing he still has plenty of time to get the job done. Lap 46 of 100. 53 to go. Jack Watts leading 7 laps. Gary Whitmer Jr. leading 4. Number 16, Ben Gear, trying to make something happen on that outside lane. Danny Rudy in the number 7, hanging very solid in 6th position. Lee Staples sitting in 7th. I had mentioned early on that a few of these drivers would get hooked up to one another. Lee Staples and Edward Bray running for Black Talon, sub-team of KMA. Trying to get hooked up here on lap 48. If we can get enough green flag pit stops in, well, enough green flag laps in, drivers will break apart into little packs and make their way into pit row. One half lap away from that halfway point, lap 49 of 100. Jack Watts, our race leader. Gary Whitmer hanging on tighter than a hair in a biscuit. Ben Gear on that outside lane. Sean Dewar. Danny Rudy in 5th battling Donald Stewart. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the halfway point. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with you. Big shout out there to David Casia for adding some new commercials. Great job, Dave Acacia. We appreciate all of your hard work. Paying tribute to our Monday night sponsor, Gary Whitmer and GW Graphics. Gary Whitmer into the 77. We are live action. Keep her down, brother. Keep her down. Keep her down. Caution is not going to fly. Yes, it will. Maybe so. We are still under green flag racing. We're going to try to back that up, folks, because that was just too scary not to watch. All right, let's see what happened up here in the front. That started up there in the front with Gary Whitmer and Jack Watts. We're looking at it full speed as Gary Whitmer gets into the rear end of the number 77. 77 holding her down. 78 locking the blocks on. There goes number 64 of Lee Staples up into the wall. All of these drivers thought that caution would fly. That caution has not flown. We are still green flag racing, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm glad we're green flag racing, but let's take a look and see what damage has been done to this field as far as where everybody has landed. We have got Ben Gear, Sean Dewar, positions 1 and 2. 4.7 seconds back, we have got Danny Rudy and Gary Whitmer Jr. 6.9 seconds back, we have got Jack Watts, Donald Stewart, Devin Armstrong in 7th position. Gary Whitmer sitting in 8th with Ivan Garcia, 11 seconds back. 10 seconds back, in 10th position, we've got Edward Bray, Lee Staples, 18.7 seconds back, riding along with Joel Guy, 4 laps down. Garrett Potts has got help, but Garrett Potts is the first driver 1 lap down. But he is with the pack. So that's a good thing for John Garrett Potts in the number 40 in 12th position. John Henderson in the 111 riding along with the 01 of John Pansula. John Pansula 3 laps down. Kevin Scott Nelson still in it to win it, but unfortunately 10 laps down for the number 224 of Kevin Scott Nelson. Well, I tell you what, folks, it has been an action-packed night out here tonight. I am thoroughly confused as to why that caution was not thrown by our iRacing race officials. That's going to change everything out here. But what that's going to do is that it's going to force these drivers into pit road. Now, there still is a chance of these drivers turning one another. But the pack, we've really only got one huge pack out here. It involves 6 cars: Jack Watts, Donald Stewart, Gary Whitmer Jr., Danny Rudy, and lap traffic of Garrett Potts. Don't believe these drivers are going to turn one another. We've got first and second out front. Jack Watts in 3rd position. Leading this pack, Donald Stewart in tow. Devin Armstrong, Gary Whitmer, and Danny Rudy. Garrett Potts pretty much along for the ride, and this is your second through 7th positions. Great job by all those drivers getting their vehicles off track and slowed down. Jack Watts 5.2 seconds off of Ben Gear and Sean Dewar. Now this is where this pack of drivers right here, they've really got to work together. 5.4 seconds off of our race leaders. They've got to go. Down to 5.3. But they're really not gaining any time on Ben Gear and Sean Dewar. They're going to have to do a lot better than this, folks. So down goes Donald Stewart. Well, that'll do it. That'll be a caution. Donald Stewart going for a ride. Not sure exactly what happened there with Donald Stewart. Again, looking like Donald Stewart just took a left turn. Going for a ride. Into Gary Whitmer Jr. Tough break there for Gary Whitmer. In-car camera with Gary. Now right here is where it happened, ladies and gentlemen. Keep a tight eye on the number 78. Just a complete left turn, back up on track. Gary Whitmer thrown into that wall. Several drivers involved in that one there. That pretty much took out the second pack. And I predicted it. I said these drivers are not going to wreck one another, and tough break there for Garrett Potts. Garrett Potts will not be getting that lucky dog back on that one there. Ben Gear, Sean Dewar, safe and sound up in front on lap 61. 39 to go. Ivan Garcia, number 72. Looking to be in pretty bad shape. They're in the number 72. Edward Bray, Lee Staples. Looking like they may have survived it. John Pansula, the number 01. Bit of damage on that rear end. Looks like it backed up into a telephone pole. Fourth caution of the night, lap 61 of 100. 15 lead changes. Pretty typical night out here at Daytona. Ben Gear, Sean Dewar in pit row. At this point in time, everybody should come into pit row. Ben Gear in the number 16 Bandit. How about it, Ben Gear? Have you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Alrighty. Well, this is kind of working out to your advantage. What do you think?
Well, I'll tell you, Scott, the Crisco truck must have hit this track before the race because it is so unslick mama.
We keep going over these replays, and I am seeing the cars taking a severe left turn. It is just like they took a left turn at 197 miles per hour. So are we going to end up having a no-push race, you reckon?
I would say no pushing, definitely no pushing in the corners and through the tri-oval. You can do it on the backstretch.
Now, do you think we're going to have the same problem tomorrow night with the trucks And the same problem out here on Friday in the Cup cars.
Trucks, I would say probably not, because they're a little bit slower. You can control them a little bit better than these cars here. And the Cup cars, I hate to say it, but I think you're going to have even more issues because they're a lot faster.
All righty. Well, I'm not sure that we've ever had you up in the booth. Tell us a little bit about Ben Gear, who you run for, who you run with, and your sponsors.
I got Skull on the car. Run a Chevy Camaro. I don't have a team affiliation. I guess call myself Third Gear Motorsports.
And how long have you been sim racing?
I have been sim racing for almost 15 to 16 years, probably.
Well, so you're back there in the days of Mario Kart.
Yeah, when you mentioned Mario Karts, when people are out here, I'm kind of cracking up because it makes me want to whip out the game and play it.
Copy that. I always like dropping quarters there at the arcades at the what was it called, pole position.
Oh God, pole position. Al Unser Jr.'s Indy racing. Oof.
Yep, we got old, brother. All right, I tell you what. Lap 63. What's your plan now that you're up there in front?
Sean and I are working good together, so let's see what happens on the outside. I hate that bottom line in traffic. I'm going to stay up here if I can. If I get cleared, I'll drop down in front of Sean. He's been a tremendous pusher all night, so maybe he can push me to the win here.
Well, you're about 4 laps. You're going to be about 5-6 laps away from a green flag pit stop for a full load. You're going to run it dry. You're going to short pit.
I don't know. We'll have to just you'll just have to wait and see.
All right. Good luck to you, Ben Gear.
Thank you, buddy.
Now that is an option, ladies and gentlemen. By the time these drivers do go back to green flag racing, we had mentioned that the fuel load sits roughly at 30 to 32 laps. We're on lap 63. We're going to go back to green flag racing, taking 65. So once these drivers hit 68, they can zip in and out of pit row. But they've got to have somebody going in, preferably 3 or 4 somebodies. I mean, 2 cars are fast. 3 is faster. 4 is faster yet. Prime objective would be 5. Now, that being the case, that could be a type of a strategy, because if it goes green flag, and if the drivers can get in and out of pit row successfully on lap 68, 69, they're going to have a very high chance of winning tonight's race if it goes caution-free. But if it does not go caution-free, they could land in the back of that field and have to work their way back up all the way to the front. Decisions. But I tell you what, folks, one decision you do not have to make if you need videography work done. Check out GW Graphics. Gary Whitmer, our sponsor for Monday night. Gary Whitmer with GW Graphics. Also, I want to give a big shout out there to Dave Acacia, doing some graphic work for us as well here at KMA TV. Big shout out there to Gearhead Paint Shop and Over the Top Paints and Designs. As well as our sponsors, Richie B's Pizza, Pro Automotive, GW Graphics, and Pie 5 Pizza, our Friday night sponsor. Back to green flag racing, taking lap 65. 8 drivers on that lead lap. That's going to change a lot of everything right there with 8 drivers on that lead lap. Sean Dewar, Edward Bray on that inside lane. Ben Gear, Ivan Garcia on the outside. Devin Armstrong still in it to win it. Ben Gear falling a little bit back on that outside lane. His race right now currently in the hands of Ivan Garcia. There goes the, that'll be another caution, I do believe, ladies and gentlemen. Nope, we are still green flag racing. Caution is not flying. See if we can go back and take a look at exactly what happened. Well, we know what happened. Somebody got spun. Take a closer look. Might have been Ben Gear. Was it Ben Gear? Ben Gear coming down in front of the number 62. Right there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Ben Gear coming down across the nose of the number 62. Not sure he was quite clear. Doing everything he can to hang on to it. Devin getting into the rear end of Sean Dower. No caution will fly, folks. Sean Dower on those brakes, but unfortunately to no avail. No caution. We're looking at Jack Watts, Ivan Garcia, positions 1 and 2. Lap 70 of 100. Edward Bray, Lee Staples in 3rd and 4th, but they are 10 seconds back. Gary Whitmer in frame, 1 lap down. Gary Whitmer would have been mighty glad to have seen that caution, but we do have Gary Whitmer Jr. and Gary Whitmer Sr. riding together, both drivers 1 lap down. Jack Watts, Ivan Garcia. So the Whitmers are in a really good position right now, assuming that the caution does not fly with the number 72 or the number 77 being involved. They want that caution to come out behind them. As long as that caution comes out behind them, they'll be in a good spot. They'll be able to get that free pass or that lucky dog. That is the hopes of the Whitmer gentlemen. Jack Watts going up to that outside. Gary Whitmer pushing Jack Watts around. Ivan Garcia. Will Jack Watts stay up there with Gary Whitmer? Gary Whitmer pulling Gary Whitmer Sr. along with him. Appears all 3 drivers trying to make a pass on Ivan. Ivan very tight. A little bit of side swipe on the number 52. 52 backing off. Jack Watts, Gary Whitmer Jr. down to that inside lane. Jack Watts in first, Ivan in second. The Whitmers 1 lap down. Sean Dower, 3rd position. 13 seconds back along with Edward Bray. Edward Bray getting ready to be run down. Pretty good sized pack coming down on Edward Bray. Garrett Potts, Devin, Sean Dower. Lee Staples will be picking up Edward Bray. Johnny Woodruff making his way around Edward Bray. Edward Bray having a pretty good amount of damage on that front end as he is side by side with Johnny Woodruff. Sean Dewar, a little bit of right side damage. Johnny Woodruff with some front end damage as well. Taking a quick look at our running order. Jack Watts, Ivan Garcia, first position. Sean Dewar sitting in third. 16 seconds back with Edward Bray. Lee Staples in fifth. John Henderson, sixth position, 21 seconds back. Ben Gear, 41 seconds back. Gary Whitmer Jr. and Sr. one lap down, but riding along with our race leaders. Drivers will not be good to go on fuel. We still have the possibility of green flag pit stops here at Daytona. Make sure you check us out on Sunday, ladies and gentlemen, as we come out here and we go racing for PAD, People Against Distracted Driving, this coming Sunday, December 3rd. 125 laps at Auto Club, showing our support for PAD. Also, the big race of the year, December 23rd, the 4th annual Santadega. Saturday, December 23rd, 125 laps at Auto Club as well. Positions 1 and 2 riding along with the lap traffic of Gary Whitmer Jr. and Gary Whitmer Sr. Lap traffic or not, that has got to be a pretty cool thing, though. Edward Bray sitting in third position. Needing a partner out here. Catching up to the rear end of Sean Dewar. Going around Sean Dewar. 2 damaged vehicles right there. Significant damage onto the rear end of the 66, as well as the number 62, Johnny Woodruff. What a nice move right there by Johnny Woodruff in the 117. Johnny Woodruff, 36 laps down. What a trooper, though. 36 laps down. Must have had some real-life issues. Maybe he lost his car keys at the start. I don't know. 66 and 62 hooking up, trying to make something happen. John Henderson in the 111, rear end damage as well. Working with John Pansula, 4 laps down. Side damage on the 111, Joel Guy in tow. Joel Guy appearing to have a fairly clean car. Damage on the 01 Cora. Championship Online Racing. Unfortunately, Garrett Potts is out of tonight's race. Tough break there for Garrett Potts. In-car action with Joel Guy. Lap 81 of 100. That is Lee Staples, Joel Guy. Joel Guy actually having some front end damage. Going to pick up the number 64, Lee Staples. At this point in time, the more the merrier. Edward Bray, Sean Dewar, 19 seconds back off of our first place. Ivan Garcia showing a little bit of front end damage. Now this would mean that we have had a green flag pit stop Ivan Garcia will be needing to pit very soon. It'll come down to penalties here in the final few laps. Gary Whitmer Sr. helping out Ivan Garcia. Gary Whitmer Jr. by himself. 1 lap down. Jack Watts coming out of pit row. Interesting strategy there by Jack Watts, not taking Ivan into pit row with him. That one there may come back and haunt him. Ivan Garcia getting a little bit of help from the number 16 of Ben Gear. Ben Gear 1 lap down. Damage on the front end, though, of the number 72. It's a little something to be worried about. Doesn't really seem to be slowing him down a whole lot. Ivan Garcia is down onto... Thought he was going to hit the apron right there for a green flag pit stop. Ben Gear into pit row for his green flag pit stop. Ben 2 laps down. Gonna get the boys out here, try to fix up the Skull Bandit, number 16 Camaro. Taking those right sides. Drivers are given 1 backup vehicle out here tonight. Pretty sure Ben's gonna take that backup vehicle. Gary Whitmer in and out of pit row as well. No tires for Gary Whitmer, no repairs for the number 16. Green flag pit stops beginning to develop. Ivan Garcia still out on that front line. As Gary Whitmer and Ben Gear make their way out of pit row. Ivan Garcia now single. Nobody to help Ivan Garcia with a little bit of damage. Ivan Garcia only running speeds of 180. Edward Bray and Sean Dewar now 7 seconds back and gaining quickly here on lap 86 of 100. Edward Bray, Sean Dewar, and the number 117 of John Woodruff. John, 36 laps down. Significant damage onto the rear end of the 66 and the 62. 5.8 seconds off of Ivan Garcia. They are gaining. Cannot testify to the fact whether or not 66 or 62 have gone into pit row. I don't think that they have. They are within 4 seconds. They are within the threes of catching up to Ivan Garcia. They should have Ivan Garcia here in approximately 3 laps. Lap 87 of 100, 13 to go. Sean Dewar with Old School Motorsports, Edward Bray with Black Talon Racing, John Henderson sitting in 4th place, 16 seconds back, riding with Lee Staples. Edward is within a second and a half of Ivan Garcia. We are getting into our closing laps. Want to give a big shout out there to Gary Whitmer, GW Graphics, sitting in 7th position. 1 lap down, 2 laps down. 2 laps down for Gary Whitmer. .111 of John Henderson in 4th. Lee Staples sitting in 5th. Jack Watts, very strong 6th. Gary Whitmer Jr. in 7th position. Ben Gear in 8th. Both of those drivers showing 1 lap down. Gary Whitmer Jr. still in the pack as his son, Gary Whitmer Jr., so that's pretty cool. That is the GW Graphics Purple Pad Chevy Camaro being driven by our sponsor tonight. Six drivers on that lead lap. Jack Watts 25 seconds back off of Lee Staples. Lee Staples front end damage 15.8 seconds back off of our race leader. Ivan Garcia, significant front end damage on the number 72. He's got a pack rolling down on him. Edward Bray, Sean Dewar making their way around Ivan Garcia. But we'll put Edward Bray in that front line position with 8 to go. Could be a situation where Edward Bray and Sean Dewar challenge one another, but right now they really need to stay hooked up. That'll put the 111 of John Henderson in third. But unfortunately, John Henderson 16 seconds back. .117 of John Woodruff, many laps down. Just out here trying to help out whom he can. Lee Staples having severe rear end damage still as he makes his way into pit row. Green flag pit stop for the number 64 of Lee Staples on lap 93. Overshooting his pit stop. No backup vehicle for Lee Staples. As I mentioned, ladies and gentlemen, green flag pit stops will make all the difference in the world. I'm going to take a quick look at our running order. We have got Jack Watts, Edward Bray, and Sean Dewar, and Ivan Garcia, our top four. Sean Dewar, Edward Bray have fallen back to second and third position. 11 seconds back off of Jack Watts. Jack Watts right now just trying to finish out the remaining 4 laps. He is on the tail end of that 3-car pack of lap traffic. Ben Gear, Gary Whitmer Jr., and Gary Whitmer Sr. Right now, Jack Watts in a very good position on lap 96 of 100. Jack Watts leading 25 laps out here at Daytona in our Monday Night Series. Monday Night Mania brought to you by GW Graphics. Closing laps coming in, folks. Lap 97 of 100. We're going to run this field one more time. Jack Watts, Edward Bray, Sean Dower, quite a ways back. Ivan Garcia in fourth, further back yet at 25. John Henderson at 37 seconds back. Lee Staples. Gary Whitmer Jr. Ben Gear, Gary Whitmer, actually back on that lead lap. But if Jack Watts were to pass them, Jack Watts would drop them down one lap. Jack Watts is not going to pass Gary Whitmer Jr. or Ben Gear. There's no need to. Those drivers, they're back on that lead lap. If Jack passes them, It will serve absolutely zero purpose. No reason to pass him whatsoever. So right now, Jack Watts is just using their draft to stay in tune with him. Edward Bray, Sean Dower, 14 seconds back. Lap 99 of 100. All Jack Watts needs to do is bring it home tonight, not wreck on this last lap of Daytona. Should not be a problem. Four cautions totaling out 14 laps out here tonight. 21 lead changes. Not a terrible race once we got moving, folks. And there it is. We can hear those fireworks off in the distance. Jack Watts, Edward Bray, Sean Dower. Very nice victory for Jack Watts, leading 29 laps out here tonight. Good there for Jack Watts. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hang out for post-race interviews. Sean Dower sitting in third position. Edward Bray will take second. Very nice attempt out here for Sean Dower. How about it, Sean? Have you got a copy?
Sir, yes, sir.
Well, you brought her home in third. What do you think?
You know, for considering as much as this car was sliding around and everything else and being cut off and, you know, all by accidents, of course, I'm surprised I even finished the race. So, yeah.
Well, talk to me about all the sliding that you did around.
I don't know. Did you see that?
I saw a lot of goofy stuff. I saw cars just barely touching and cars turning left. Tell me all about that, because I tell you, you made a hell of a run out here tonight.
Well, you know, and of course, as always get to talk to you, I'll always tell you, it's the KMA drivers, and I always pair up with them. First part, I was with Ben. We had a great run going. We worked real well together. And his mirror, you know, he said even looking in his mirror, he saw my whole front end. You know, spotter said he was clear the whole 9 yards, and he came down, and, you know, I was there. I didn't want to let up because Edward was right behind me. I didn't want to hurt his chances. So, but, you know, then shortly after, Edward's pushing me, and, you know, we're just working great together, and he didn't even touch me. You know, we talked a little bit about it, and he said that possibly maybe took the air off my car, and next thing you know, I went sideways. And how we held on to it and continued to go on, I'll never know. But, yeah, great guys to race with, and, you know, if you saw, there was a ton of wrecks that, you know, that kind of came up, and everybody was on their brakes, doing a great job, you know, just like you all preach. And, you know, we squeaked through quite a few of them. So to even be here, you know, says a lot to KMA.
All right, copy that. Good information. Real quick, tell me about Old School.
Old Schools, I always get to tell you about that. It's Old Schools Motorsports. You can find our page on Facebook. Just by Old Schools Motorsports. You can go to oldschoolsmotorsports.com. We do a lot of paints for a lot of iRacers. We have a good time doing it. We've got a great client list. We paint some real cars for some real NASCAR drivers. We're designing 2 paints this year for some real NASCAR drivers. And it's just a great thing. Plus, the team itself is amazing. We've got 9 people on the team. They all have their own unique clique. They all are their own unique niche, and it just comes together real well. So,
alrighty, Old School Motorsports bringing home third place at Daytona. Tough third place, but great third place.
Thank you, man.
All right, how about it, Edward Bray? Have you got a copy?
How about it, Scott?
All right, second position. Wow, what a fight you put up. Talk to me about it.
Oh, it was a rough night, that's for sure. As a couple of the other drivers have said, I evidently had a horseshoe in my butt. because I'd squeaked through a few of them, and then got caught up in one. Had a little bit of damage. Figured I was going to go, a lap down. Then the caution came out, so I was able to fix my car, get back out on the track with a clean car, and then was following Sean, and I guess got air off of his rear end, and tangled a little bit, got tagged in the rear, not too bad. But, working with Sean and somebody else that was behind him, I'm not sure exactly who that was, but pulled out a second place finish with Sean in third. So, big shout out to him working together. Definitely a big shout out to Jack for winning tonight.
All righty, and talk to me about Black Talon Racing. Beautiful car, but looks like you backed up into a telephone pole, but that's okay. Tell me all about Black Talon.
Black Talon, it's a team that's under KMA. Lee Staples and myself are the team under Black Talon, which is a sub team, under KMA, like I said, and we've been working together and testing our cars, trucks, everything else, trying to get better, and it's been working out great.
All righty, now how do you think the rest of the week's going to go with Daytona here?
I think it's going to be a learning experience for everybody. We normally run the old Impala Bs here, so I think it's been a little while since we run the Xfinity trucks, and especially the Cup cars. So this will definitely be a great learning experience for everybody, and hopefully it'll be a fun time, a little bit less cautious than we did tonight, but I think it's going to be great.
All righty, copy that. Congratulations on your second place.
Thanks, Scott.
All righty, how about it, Jack?
How about it, Scotty?
Oh, damn. Whoa. 2 wins, and you're looking good out there. Your car is looking not bad at all. Talk to me about your night.
My car hasn't really been through a lot. The craziest thing is, and I know 100% sure it wasn't on purpose, the guy who wrecked me twice without even touching me is the same guy who ultimately helped me win the race. When he wrecked me, he never touched me, so my car didn't get any damage. It just got sideways. So it should be a pretty clean car.
Now, do you think all the problems out here tonight were related to this being an internet-based simulation, or is there really trouble out there on that track tonight? Because I saw a lot of odd stuff happening.
I think, to me, I think it's both, but I think it's more the odd stuff. I've never been spun sideways and have no damage, and it completely shows no damage. It's just like I hit the apron on my own. Okay, and I could believe that if it was once, but twice with the same guy behind me who's a super, super clean driver, he never touched me. And just like the other two drivers said, same thing. They got air. I think it's the air getting pulled off the cars, and it's just whipping them around.
All right, and now you've already told us about Southeast Motorsports. I do want to talk about one more thing before I let you go. We saw 2 major wrecks out here, and the caution never flew. There was so much cooperation out here, so many drivers getting on those brakes rather than just plowing through that caution. But explain to us why on 2 occasions that caution did not fly.
You said half of it. It's drivers checking up and stuff like that. But the other half is when the wreck does happen, if everybody goes out of the racing groove, which is usually below that yellow line, it won't pull a caution out if they're down too low or whatever. If they're in the middle of a track, it's a glitch, but otherwise that's just normal. It doesn't pull it if it's below the yellow line.
All righty, now how are you feeling about the rest of the week at Daytona?
Pretty good. I'm not sure about the Cup cars. Usually if it's like Talladega, it's follow the leader, but the trucks, they'll be a good time. All
righty, congratulations, Jack Watts. Winning last week at Homestead, winning tonight at Daytona. You are on a super speedway run, brother.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. That's right. It was Homestead, and thanks, KMA, for putting this on.
Yeah.
It makes it fun.
Well, thanks for coming to KMA Racing and Racing Clean. We appreciate it.
I appreciate the host. Thank you, sir.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick look at those race results. What a night out here at Daytona. We did have 4 cautions out here, but overall a really, really good ending to a very, very sketchy start out here at Daytona. Jack Watts, Edward Bray, Sean Dower, Ivan Garcia, Gary Whitmer Jr. getting in a 5th place position. Ben Gear 6th, Gary Whitmer 7th, John Henderson 8th. Drivers on the lead lap. So a big shout out there to our sponsor tonight, pulling down a 5th place. Big shout out there to Gary Whitmer and GW Graphics. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am Scott Kolovic. This is KMA TV. Check us out tomorrow night when we return to Daytona in the Camping Silverado. We'll see you tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen.